Jack Thunder and the Fragments of Anima. Book 4. Earth. Chapter 10. And to all a good night. Buckthorn felt the ground shake beneath her. Before she knew it, the entire square was awash in a harlequin gremlin hurricane. They made circles around the villagers, singing the same carols she had been singing earlier. Despite their stampeding, they took extra care not to trample any of them. Children and adults alike cheered as they made their way through the town. They were not as careful with the fallen wendigos. Many of the foul creatures had fallen in the streets, and before they could get up, the mob of marching gremlins trampled over and flattened them, reducing them to enormous black stains on the ground. They didn't get back up. "Keep singing!" Strombolio prodded. The uninvited parade made its way through town, splitting once they reached the center square just beneath Yggdrasil. Strombolio took his place next to Buckthorn, still tapping out the rhythm on his sticks. He looked over to her and winked. One party went north, the other south. Wherever they went, the Harlequin gremlins carried Buckthorn's song with them. They were unstoppable, leaping over barrels and bushes, traipsing over steep hills and into ravines, and even doing parkour off the tops of the tree houses. Even the littlest of them were surprisingly nimble, climbing places where they couldn't jump. As wild as they were, it was hard for the grove dwellers not to catch a smile. When the Circus of Shadows came to town, it was hard not to join in on the fun, no matter how crazy some of their antics were. Some of the fairies in the village even started marching with them. Snotter swung Terra at yet another wendigo, slicing it in half. Both she and Jack Thunder noticed the wendigo's attacks were slowing down. Looking back at Yggdrasil, they saw that she had restored some of her color. From the gap in her trunk, they could even see a faint golden light. The heartwood was healing itself. Jack Thunder and Snotter felt a renewed strength flow through them. Meanwhile, Nemesis suffered as if it were baking under the sun. The two fairies could see the superior wendigo's form bubble and boil, struggling to hold on to its shape. The wendigos around them fared little better. They were either reduced to inert puddles of goo, or crept their way towards the two slowly and laboriously, melting into the dirt. A gout of wendigo substance gushed from Nemesis' mouth, threatening to splash onto Jack Thunder and Snotter. They stepped back, but the black gunk still made its way around their feet. "Wow, I never realized how pathetic wendigos really are," Snotter quipped, slinging Terra over her shoulder. She was right. Between the Winter Solstice Spirit and the now restored Heartwood, Nemesis couldn't even stand up straight. How ironic that magic, the one thing that wendigos fed off of, was also the one thing that could defeat them. "You can say that again, Snotter," Jack Thunder concurred. "For all its bluster, it's nothing but a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich." Nemesis snarled and threw itself at Snotter. It didn't care that it had become weak and sick. It would make that snail pay for what she said. Except that didn't happen. Just seconds before impact, Strombolio's troop had arrived. Storming through past the two fairies and towards Yggdrasil, an entire army of Harlequin gremlins trampled Nemesis underfoot. They made their way around the ancient dryad, still singing their song. The gray spell over Yggdrasil lifted, and the light inside her trunk shone brighter than ever before. The heartwood had been fully restored. Nemesis was only able to lift its head before Snotter slammed Terra on the ground once more. The ground trembled anew, and a fissure split the earth where it hit. A fissure that made its way straight towards Nemesis. The Wendigo General fell into a pit and found itself stuck fast between its steep walls. Green vines slithered down and over the Wendigo General, netting it inside. It might as well have been mold clinging to the rocks at this point. Nemesis looked up from where it landed. It saw Jack Thunder and Snotter peering down into the hole. One by one, the other heroes took their place. First Buckthorn, then Shadowpaws, then Razor. They all stared down in contempt. Jack Thunder held his hand out to Snodder. "You ready?" She took his hand. "Ready." The four young heroes encircled the fissure and brandished their fragments towards Nemesis's crumpled form inside. "Back to the flip side with you and your hate." Stormbringer coursed with electricity, reverberating with a white aura. "You have no place in this land of dreams." The sea stone swirled with color, a soft rainbow emanating from its form. "We belong to Alterus. Alterus is ours." Both Lethal Joke and Terra teemed with energy. Swirls of smoke slithered around the dark fragment, while Snodder could see leaves of magical energy falling from Terra like autumn leaves. "Now be gone!" Just like the last time, the glow from all the Anima fragments together became excruciatingly bright. Rainbow beams emerged from each fragment, merging in the center. Only this time, the beam made a long arc across the night sky, splitting and hitting several points within the village. One of them recoiled back and fell into the fissure, hitting Nemesis head-on. Through the bright spectral beam, Snodder could see what looked like black ashes rising out of the pit. She faintly heard an angered roar through the din of the spell. One by one, each rainbow beam became speckled with black dots. Every single soldier in Nemesis's precious army was reduced to nothing but black ashes, rising upwards towards the highest point of the rainbow. Slowly, even the rainbow beams retracted into themselves, leaving only a swirling ball of energy hanging in midair. It lingered for only half a second before it launched itself directly towards the night sky. Every being in the grove watched as it disappeared into space. Just seconds before a distant explosion shook the world around her, Snodder swore she could hear a distant shout. It sounded something like, "I hate that storm gremlin!"